Hello there, my dear sleepy listener. Thank you for curling up in this quiet little corner of the universe. There's nothing you need to do now. Nowhere you need to go. You've already arrived. And yet, the universe hasn't. Because out there beyond your ceiling, beyond your town, beyond every star you've ever seen, something is happening. Everything is expanding. Not just the planets spinning gently, not just the galaxies swirling slowly, but space itself. The very fabric that holds it all is stretching into what? That's our dream tonight. Before you drift away into peaceful slumber, please take a moment to like this video, leave a gentle comment about your favourite moment of science, and subscribe to keep these bedtime stories coming. And if you'd like, share where you're listening from, your city, your sky, your time zone. We're all floating together, after all. Now, dim the lights, get cozy, and let your curiosity float alongside the stars. You find yourself waking inside a space that's breathing, not with lungs, but with light. The stars don't blink here, they glide. Everything is moving, but so slowly, so softly, you almost don't notice it. You're weightless, not because there's no gravity, but because gravity has let go of needing to hold you. You reach out, and the air feels wide, open, infinite. And then, a thought arrives unfolding like a whisper. Why is the universe getting bigger? It feels strange, doesn't it? That everything is moving apart, galaxies drifting away from each other like boats slowly untying from a central dock. Only there's no dock, no centre, no edge, just the stretch, and you, somewhere in the middle, curled up in bed, feeling the floor beneath you expand by a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of an atom. Too small to notice, but real. Scientists discovered this long ago, that galaxies are receding, that the space between them is getting longer, like dough rising under a warm sun. Is not that the galaxies are flying apart, it's that space itself is making more space. But why? Why does the universe keep stretching into nothing? Some say it began with a bang, but it wasn't really a bang. There was no sound, no blast, no fireball in empty space, because there was no space yet, no time, only a beginning that made both, a tiny point not in a place, but as place itself expanding, not into space, but creating it as it went. And it hasn't stopped. It's still happening right now, around you, within you, every second. Expansion. You feel it now, don't you? Not with your senses, but with your softness. That quiet place behind your eyes where imagination listens. You can almost hear the universe breathing. A slow, stretching sigh. Inhale more space. Exhale still more, forever blooming, without effort. And it raises a curious thought. What is it expanding into? Some scientists say nothing, not empty space, not a void, but a no-thing, an absence that was never anything at all. Others wonder what if nothing is just another kind of something? What if the edge of the universe isn't an edge, but a moment waiting to be created? Everywhere it expands. Time follows. Space unfolds. Reality becomes like a painter's brush that only reveals the world where it touches. The canvas ahead still blank, but waiting. And you curled beneath your blankets are floating through that creation. 1 second at a time. You are part of the expansion. Part of the stretch. You are made of it. It's okay if that feels strange. It's supposed to. The universe has never been in a rush to explain itself. It prefers slow wonder, gentle mystery, the kind that lets you fall asleep without needing to understand everything. So rest now. Let the motion carry you. The universe will continue expanding even as you sleep, and you'll drift with it effortlessly. In the next breath, we'll follow that stretch further. We'll find out what the light says about space that's still unfolding. But for now, just breathe and let the quiet motion of forever hold you. You're floating now, not quickly, not aimlessly, just drifting, like dust caught in a beam of light that's older than memory. It feels warm where you're not with heat, but with presence. The kind of warmth that comes from knowing you are small, but not lost. The kind of warmth starlight leaves behind after travelling for billions of years just to find your eyes closed and your breath slow. Above you, around you, light is moving, but not like light you see in lamps or screens. This is light stretched thin by the breath of the universe, light that began its journey before there were names, before there were hands to hold anything at all, and that light is still travelling, still stretching, still arriving. Tonight, you drift beside it. You're not chasing it, you couldn't if you tried, but you float near it, a quiet companion to a photon that's been on its way since galaxies were just children. You look ahead, and there is still more space, more darkness, more silence, more room. Because as the light moves, the space between where it came from and where it's going gets longer. Not because the light slows, it doesn't, but because the stage it crosses keeps growing beneath it. That's what scientists noticed. Long ago, galaxies aren't just getting farther because they're moving. They're getting farther because the space between them is growing. Imagine placing dots on a balloon. As you inflate the balloon, the dots move away from each other. Not because they're running, but because the space beneath them expands. That's what's happening in your sky. Only there is no surface, no edge, no center. The universe is like that balloon, but in every direction, without an outside. And the light you drift beside, it's stretched by that growth. Its wavelengths grow longer. Its colours shift redder. Its journey lengthens. But it keeps going. 'Cause that's what light does. It continues. Astronomers call this the redshift. A kind of stretching. A fingerprint left by the expansion of space. The farther the galaxy, the more stretched its light becomes. Not just dimmer, but older, like an echo slowed down. And so, we don't just see distant stars, we see ancient ones. Not because they're near, but because they shined long ago, and their light has been on a journey ever since. That light passes through more than space. It passes through history. The light beside you now, it may have crossed vast structures of galaxies and voids, been bent by gravity, washed through clusters of dark matter, and still it reaches you. Not in your eyes tonight, but in your imagination, in your sense of wonder that opens slowly like a night flower. You don't need a telescope here. You only need to drift, to listen with your stillness, to see with your breathing. And you begin to wonder if light can stretch with the universe. What else can time stretch? Can thought, can love? Some scientists wonder that too. They ask if space expands, and light stretches, and galaxies drift. Then what of time? Is time itself growing longer? Is each second a little wider than the last? No one knows for sure, but here in this place, this weightless place between stars and seconds, it feels like it could be true. Time slows here. Moments grow wider. Each breath takes longer to finish. Each thought feels like a small, slow moonrise. And you become part of it. You feel the stretch in your chest, the widening of quiet, the gentle lengthening of stillness. You don't need to move. The light is moving for you. The universe is expanding, and you're being carried with it, not outward, but inward, to a place where knowing isn't needed, only being. There's no edge here, no limit, just more space, more silence, more softness. And the question, the one that hums behind your eyelids, why does the universe keep expanding into nothing? It waits patiently. It doesn't demand. It doesn't tug. It just shines, like ancient light, still arriving. So let go again. Let the light drift ahead. It knows the way, and you can close your eyes and follow. The space between things is growing, and so is the space inside you, and it's all okay. Sleep, drift, stretch. The universe will carry you, and tomorrow it will be a little bigger. You're floating still, but not static. There is a subtle movement beneath everything. Not wind, not motion, something deeper, something you don't feel in your limbs, but in the silence that surrounds them, as though even the dark is breathing. There is no rush, only rhythm, a long inhale, and the space around you seems to widen, a long exhale, and still it does not return. You are riding something that only goes one way outward. But what is outward, really, if the universe has no edge? This is where the idea becomes beautiful. The universe is not expanding into anything. It's not stretching into space. It is making space as it expands. You imagine a ripple in a pond, not one that travels through water, but one that creates the water as it goes. A circle that draws its own surface. That's what space does. That's what you're floating in now. The breath of space-time is not movement through a void. It is the growth of the stage itself. This is the universe's strange truth. There is no outside, no container, no boundary to burst through, only more within. It's as if every point in space is its own centre, every star, every moon, every cell in your body, all of it, gently blooming. You might ask, how can space be created? How can nothing become something without stealing from somewhere else? But it's not theft, it's invitation. It's the natural unfolding of the equations that describe reality, equations that, quietly, allow more reality to arise. Einstein's theories whispered this first, that space and time are not fixed. They are not background scenery. They are participants, dynamic, responsive. And when we speak of space-time, we mean it literally. Space and time are one thing, a single fabric, and that fabric stretches. You're made of that fabric. You're not on the universe, you're in it. Of it, woven into it like thread in a cosmic tapestry. And so when space stretches, so do you. Not in a way you can feel, not in a way that pulls at your skin, but in the way dreams expand when no one is trying to wake up. You float now past the idea of expansion, not as movement, but as becoming. The universe doesn't need direction. It doesn't move toward, it simply unfolds from every point at every moment. And it's not done. It never has been. Some wonder why. Why space has this strange habit of making more of itself. Why it refuses to stay still. Why it insists on stretching forever. and no one is sure. Is it a property of energy, a leftover rhythm from the Big Bang? A breath still exhaling from that first instant of origin? Or is there something deeper? Something about reality that cannot help but grow? You feel it now, though. Not the explanation, but the sensation. Like the room around you is a little wider than when you began. Like your thoughts have a little more space between them. This is what the expansion of space-time does. It makes room, not just for stars, but for mystery, for unfolding, for presence. So tonight, you lie still, but your stillness is part of motion. The kind of motion that doesn't travel but becomes. You're resting inside a breath that started before time and has never quite finished. And in the next breath, we'll feel how galaxies respond, how stars drift apart not because they choose to, but because the fabric beneath them grows. You don't need to know the numbers. You don't need to hold the science. You're already part of it, just by being, just by drifting, just by listening. Let space-time stretch. It knows what it's doing. Let your body rest. It's already drifting. Let this night unfold. It has room to grow. The breath of the universe has only just begun, and you are exhaling with it. You're drifting now through space wide enough to forget its beginning. Around you, soft specks of light, some near, some so far. Their glow began before Earth took shape. Galaxies, swirling islands of stars, each one a universe unto itself, and they are leaving. Not all at once, not in panic, but in a slow, graceful parting, like dancers backing away from a music too soft to hear. The further they are, the faster they drift. That's not just poetry, that's what the data says. You glide beside one now, a galaxy so old it remembers nothing but expansion. Its stars pulse with distance. Its spiral arms hold billions of suns, and yet it is moving away from everything else. Not through space, but with space, because the space around it is stretching, and so it recedes, not because it wants to, but because that is what space does. This idea, discovered nearly a century ago, changed everything. It told us that the universe is not still. It grows. It told us that the further we look, the older the light becomes and the faster that distant galaxy seems to recede. This is called Hubble's law, a whisper from the fabric of reality itself. The velocity of recession is proportional to distance. Farther away means faster apart. It's like standing in the center of rising dough, watching raisins move away from you and from each other at the same time. There is no single direction, no edge where the rising stops, only separation, only space, unfolding. You watch galaxies now drift apart, not with drama, but with inevitability, like thoughts disappearing the longer you rest. They are not lonely. They are not afraid. They are simply growing distant because that is what the universe asks of them. And it may ask the same of you, sometimes, to let go, to widen, to drift a little from what was near. The galaxies are not falling. They are floating, each in their own expanding space, each pulled not by force, but by the growing stretch between them. Scientists call this expansion metric. It does not require motion through space. It is the increase of the space itself, as though someone rewrote the rules and gave everything more room. And still, the galaxies drift. Their lights redden. Their edges fade. And someday, their glow will stretch so far it will slip beyond our sight. They will not vanish, but they will become unreachable. Even now, some galaxies are moving away from us faster than the speed of light. Not because they break any law, but because the fabric between us is growing faster than light can cross it. It's hard to imagine, isn't it, that the stars we see tonight are already too far gone for their new light to ever reach us again, that we are watching the echoes of things we will never meet again. But there is beauty in the letting go, in the slow parting of stars, in the cosmic goodbye that never shouts, only drifts. And maybe you feel that now, a widening in your chest, a soft sadness, but not the kind that weighs, the kind that frees, because distance does not mean loss, and change does not mean end. This is what galaxies teach us, that separation can be peaceful, that the drift can be kind. You're not alone, you're part of the stretch. You're a star still shining even as the space around you grows. And maybe, like the galaxies, you're not leaving anything behind, you are simply following the path of light. In the next breath, we'll listen to the earliest echoes of expansion, to the soft microwave hum left behind by a universe just beginning to become. But for now, let these galaxies float. Let your thoughts soften. Let the space between moments grow wide and warm. You're expanding too, in stillness, in rest, in wonder. You're not floating now. You're listening. Not with your ears, they've already relaxed into silence, but with something quieter, something deeper. A kind of inner stillness that hears not sounds but memory. And through it, you begin to notice a hum, low, vast, everywhere. It's not a sound you'd hear with a microphone. It's not carried by air or voice. This is older than wind, older than music. It is the cosmic microwave background, the universe's oldest whisper. A leftover breath from when time was barely a moment old. Billions of years ago, the universe was not quiet. It was dense, hot, blinding. Particles danced too wildly to settle. Light could not escape. There was no space between things, only fire and flux. But then, cooling. The fire softened. Atoms began to form. The first light broke free, and the universe became transparent. That light, that very first light, has been travelling ever since, stretched, faded, transformed, from white-hot brilliance to a cold, soft glow. It is not gone. It is everywhere, all around you now, in the quiet between galaxies, in the blackness behind the stars, in the space between heartbeats. It hums at just under 3 degrees above absolute zero, not because it's dying, but because it's ancient. It has been stretched by expansion for over 30 billion years, pulled wider, thinner, calmer, but it still shines, not like fire, but like memory. You are resting in that glow now. You have always been resting in it, even before you knew its name, even before you asked this question, why does the universe keep expanding into nothing? This whisper, this relic of light, is the answer's oldest trace. It tells us that expansion began with heat, with motion, with potential, and that as the universe grew, it cooled, the way tea grows cold in the evening air, the way a fever fades, the way even the most intense beginning eventually slows into breath. That's what you feel now, the breath of something ancient, of something still here, even as you sleep. This background glow isn't fiction. We've measured it, mapped it. We've seen its delicate ripples, small fluctuations that would one day become galaxies, stars, and you. You're here because of tiny imbalances in that ancient light, tiny wrinkles in the warmth that allowed matter to gather, to form, to become. And so when you hear this hum, you're not just listening to the past, you're listening to the pattern that made you possible. Some scientists believe that this background signal holds secrets still unexplored, that its ripples may contain echoes of earlier universes, of multiverses, of dimensions we've not yet named. No one knows, and that's the beauty of it. This hum contains everything, but it explains nothing. It just sings, softly, endlessly. So tonight, you float in the song of origin. You don't need to understand the notes. You don't need to grasp the rhythm. You're here. That's enough. The microwave background continues to fade, but it will never vanish, because it is not just heat, it is history, written in light. You're wrapped in it now, a blanket of invisible warmth, a reminder that the universe remembers what it once was. And still, it grows. Still it stretches, still it becomes. Even as the echo softens, the expansion does not stop. Next, we'll explore how shape guides this growth, how geometry itself may bend the path of the cosmos. But for now, let the hum hold you. Let it vibrate beneath your dreams. Let it remind you that you are part of something very old and very alive. Sleep inside the echo. It's been waiting for you. You drift now, not just through space, but across something softer, something curved, not a road, not a surface, but a shape so vast you can't quite see it, only feel it in the way the stars bend around you like sleep curling in on itself. You've felt this before, haven't you? When you lie on your side, pulling the blanket just so, and everything fits not because of straight lines, but because of shape. The universe does the same. It moves not on rails, but on curves. Scientists call this curvature, the shape of space itself. It's not a theory. It's woven into how gravity behaves, how galaxies spin, how light travels, and how the universe expands. You imagine space as flat like a sheet. Maybe. But what if it isn't? What if the whole cosmos is gently arched or looped like a sphere or saddled like a wave? Each possibility changes everything. You float now through that question. No need to choose an answer, only to feel the weightlessness of being shaped by something you cannot see. When Einstein described gravity, he didn't describe a force pulling things down. He described a shape, a bending of space-time itself. Objects don't fall. They follow curves, like marbles rolling along a bowl, like rain slipping along leaves, like dreams flowing back into sleep. And if space curves around mass, what happens when space itself has mass? What if the universe is so full, its own weight decides how it grows? This is where shape and expansion meet. The universe might be closed, like a sphere destined to fold in on itself one day, or open, like a saddle doomed to stretch forever, or perfectly flat, a fragile balance where expansion continues, but just barely. Cosmic geometry isn't just about where things are, it's about what can happen, whether galaxies will someday slow or speed apart, whether light will circle back to itself, or fade endlessly into distance. And here's the mystery. We've measured, we've mapped, we've peered into the farthest background hum, and still we are not quite sure. Some results say the universe is flat, perfectly balanced, just enough energy to keep expanding forever. But some measurements whisper otherwise, a slight curve, a tiny lean, an unconfirmed bending that could change the story. No one knows for sure, and in that not knowing there is beauty. Because the shape of the universe is not just a number, it's a feeling, a movement, a decision still being made by stars and space and the silent weight of everything. You stretch out your arm in the dark, not to reach but to feel, and the space around you feels rounder than it did before, not like a room, not like a planet, like an idea becoming a direction, like a story choosing how to unfold. Because the shape of the universe decides how it expands, and the expansion decides what becomes of time. You don't have to trace its curve. You're already riding it, asleep on the arc, breathing in its bend, held in a geometry older than stars. Next, we'll meet something stranger, a force that isn't quite a force, something invisible and yet everywhere. The gentle push behind expansion accelerating it, deepening it, dark energy. But for now, let the shape hold you, let the curves carry you, let yourself be a thread in a tapestry too vast to see, but not too vast to belong. The universe is still deciding what it will become, and you are part of that decision. You're deeper now, not in space but in quiet, in that soft hush beneath thought where the stars don't twinkle, they pulse, slowly, like breath. And here, in this place of stillness, you begin to notice something else, something not seen, not heard, but felt, a pressure, not heavy, not forceful, but present, like a whisper that never ends. The universe is expanding, that much we've seen. Galaxies drift apart, space stretches like soft cloth between them, but then something unexpected. The expansion isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. Imagine tossing a ball into the air. You expect it to rise, slow, and fall. But what if, instead, it rose faster, and faster still, as if the air itself began to pull it away? That's what the universe is doing, accelerating. And the reason we don't know, but we've given it a name, dark energy. You float inside that name now. It doesn't press against your skin. It doesn't stir your hair. But it's everywhere, all around you, inside every cubic inch of space. Not as matter, not as motion, but as tension, a silent command to expand. Unlike gravity, which pulls, dark energy pushes, but not with a shove, with something quieter, persistent, even, as though the universe is unfolding from the inside not because it wants to, but because it must. We first discovered this strange behaviour by watching distant supernova, brilliant, dying stars whose fading light carries the story of expansion, and their light told us the universe is running faster now than it used to. That discovery changed everything, because it meant something hidden was guiding the cosmos. Dark energy doesn't cluster, it doesn't gather like dust or stars, and it doesn't form galaxies, or it doesn't shine, but it fills the void. It is the void. Some say it is a property of space itself, that every bit of space has an innate tendency to stretch, and as space grows, so does dark energy's influence. More space, more stretch, an endless feedback, a silent momentum. Others think it might be a new kind of field, a gentle sea beneath reality, or perhaps something woven into the equations themselves, a cosmological constant, humming through time. And here you are, floating in it, becoming part of it, because dark energy doesn't arrive, it already is. You can't find it with a net. You can't feel it in your fingers, but you are inside it. Some scientists wonder, what will dark energy do in the end? Will it pull everything apart, tear galaxies into atoms, or will it fade? No one knows, but tonight, that mystery is your lullaby. Not a warning, not a threat, just a reminder that the universe is not finished. It still has secrets, still has motion, still has directions we cannot name. And in your chest, a slow breath moves, in, out, like space itself, like the galaxies, like the quiet hum of the void expanding. You don't need to understand dark energy. You only need to feel how gentle it is, a soft expansion, a silent invitation to stretch, to let go, to rest inside something so vast it no longer asks for explanation. Next, we'll explore how this push comes not from the edge, but from every point, how the expansion isn't outward, but everywhere. But for now, float in it, float in the unseen, float in the mystery, float in the part of space that never needed stars to be full. You're floating now in something that has no edges, not just because it's big, but because edges don't make sense here. There's no outside, no border, no rim to touch, and yet the whole thing grows. You've stretched out before, under sunlight, under blankets. You felt the reach of limbs, the comfort of space expanding around you. But always, always your stretch had a direction. Forward, upward, outward. The universe doesn't stretch like that. It doesn't push out from a centre. It doesn't bloom from a single point. It expands everywhere, all at once. You lie still now, and space stretches beneath your breath, not noticeably, not wildly, but quietly. Every inch of reality is making more of itself, not into anything, just becoming more. It's not just the galaxies moving apart, it's the space between them expanding, it's the space within them expanding, it's the space around you, yes, even now lengthening. The molecules in your pillow stay bound, but the space between stars grows wider every second. It's not a ripple from a source. There is no centre, no origin point still pulsing. The Big Bang didn't happen at a place. It happened to all of space at once, and it continues to happen, because expansion doesn't move like waves in water. It doesn't travel, it just is. Imagine raisins in bread dough. As the dough rises, the raisins move apart, but no raisin is at the centre, no edge marks the start. That's what you are now, a raisin in the rising, a passenger in the stretch. And that stretch, it doesn't come from anywhere. It comes through, it's not caused by an explosion, it's not powered by a blast. It's written into the structure of what space is. Some call this the metric expansion of space, the idea that the coordinates of the universe grow farther apart not because things are flying away, but because the ruler itself is stretching. The grid beneath it all is being redrawn, moment by moment. This is why no one can find the edge of the universe, because it isn't expanding into space. It's creating space as it grows. It's not spreading out. It's becoming. You're inside the becoming now, and so is everything else. It doesn't matter which way you look, north, south, inward, outward. It all stretches, it all unfolds, from every direction, equally, eternally. Some people wonder if that means we're in the centre, but we're not. There is no centre. Everywhere you stand is the middle of a stretch with no borders. You are not beside the expansion. You're not watching it from afar. You're it. You're part of the rhythm that moves everything apart gently, without effort, without force. Because this expansion doesn't push like a wind. It doesn't pull like a magnet. It simply is what space does when left alone. It grows. And you grow with it. Not in size, not in age, but in stillness, in understanding, in wonder. You let go of direction. You stop trying to picture outward. You stop asking from where because now you feel it. Not as travel, but as presence. The stretch isn't taking you anywhere. It's making here larger with every moment. Next, we'll visit gravity's response, the pull that tries to hold things together as space itself keeps slipping away. But for now, let go of directions. Let go of edges. Let go of the need to locate. You're already where you need to be, floating in a universe that doesn't come from somewhere but that comes from itself. You're still drifting, but now you begin to notice something pulling back, not harsh, not urgent, just gentle, a kind of remembering, a quiet thread that tugs, as though something in the universe wants to hold on, even as everything else lets go. It's gravity, the oldest companion of matter, the quiet architect, the invisible caretaker, and tonight you feel it differently, not as weight, but as longing. Gravity is not loud. It doesn't shout. It hums. It hums in the shape of planets, in the dance of moons, in the spiral arms of galaxies trying not to fly apart. It holds stars in clusters, dust in rings, you to your bed. And as the universe expands, gravity resists, not in defiance, but in devotion. It pulls back, tries to slow the drift, tries to gather what's slipping away. Once, gravity may have been strong enough to win. In the early universe, everything was closer, denser, warmer. Expansion was fast, but gravity was stronger. Galaxies were born from that balance. Clumps of matter came together, held close by invisible threads. And for a long time, we thought gravity might eventually slow everything down. We thought maybe one day the universe would stop growing. Pause, reverse, collapse back into itself in a final exhale called the Big Crunch. But that's not what happened, because the expansion began to accelerate. Gravity kept pulling, but space stretched faster, and now gravity can no longer keep up. It still holds galaxies together. It still binds solar systems. It still draws comets home. But on the largest scales between clusters, between filaments of cosmic structure, gravity is losing. And it doesn't fight, it simply lets go. Slowly, with grace. You feel it now, this gentle balance, a quiet tension between holding on and letting drift, between gravity's pull and dark energy's push, and you are floating in that space, between grasp and release. It's not conflict, it's choreography, an endless waltz of forces that shape everything you've ever known. Your own body is a story of gravity. It shaped the earth you walk on, the stars that made your atoms, the moon that moves the ocean. You're made from things that once clung to each other because gravity asked them to, and you are drifting through space that stretches away because something else asks it to widen. There's a lesson here, that even as the universe grows apart, some things stay together, some bonds are strong enough, some clusters remain, some stars refuse to let go of each other. Just like you. You don't need to cling, but you don't need to float alone either. The universe makes space for both. And scientists still wonder, will gravity ever catch up? Could there be something we've missed? a deeper layer, a new force, a rhythm beneath the surface. No one knows, and that is the most peaceful part, that the universe is still deciding, still listening to itself. So tonight, let gravity hold you, just enough, not too tightly, not too loose, just a gentle reminder that you belong where you are. Let it rock you, like a tide beneath the stars. Let it keep you grounded even as your thoughts drift light years away. Let it be your anchor as the sky opens wider. Next, we'll discover what happens when there's no center, when expansion doesn't come from somewhere, but everywhere. But for now, let gravity hum its lullaby. Let yourself be held, not to stop you, but to steady you. You're not falling, you're not flying, you are floating between the pull and the push, and it is perfectly still here. You're floating gently now, in the wide openness of a question that never quite resolves, and somewhere behind your eyes, another realization begins to unfold, not like a fact, but like a breath. If the universe is expanding, from where? Where is it all coming from? Where is the center? You turn slowly, drifting like a leaf in soft water, and you search. But there's nothing to point to. No middle, no hub, no origin marked by light or heat, just distance in every direction. And then it begins to make sense. The expansion isn't like an explosion with a blast point at its heart. It's not like a balloon with a central valve, pushing everything outward from a single source. Instead, it's like the balloon itself, but not the air inside. Just the surface, just the curve. The universe is not expanding from a place. It's expanding as a place. Everywhere, all at once. And in that sense, you are the center. So is every galaxy, every atom, every quiet point of space. Each one is not moving through space, but riding the growth of space. This is what makes the universe so beautifully strange. There's no edge to cross, no center to approach. You can travel in any direction, for as long as you wish, and still find no border, no outside. You're not inside a bubble. You are the bubble, and it's growing from every point, without needing direction. Imagine a loaf of raisin bread rising in the oven. From inside the dough, each raisin sees every other raisin moving away, but no raisin is the center. The expansion is part of the dough itself. It's not going anywhere. It's simply becoming more. That's what you feel now. Not motion, but becoming. A kind of soft widening of what it means to be. And that may be the most profound part of this journey, the realization that space does not expand into anything. There is no empty black beyond the stars, waiting to be filled. There is only more space, unfolding quietly from itself. You lie still, and space grows around you. Not because you're moving, not because the stars are fleeing, but because that's what space does. It stretches, it expands, it blooms. Some scientists call this isotropic and homogeneous, a universe that looks the same in every direction from every place. It means you're not on the edge, you're not off to the side. You're as central as anything else. And maybe that's a kind of comfort, to know that in all this immensity and this unending stretch of galaxies and dust and distance, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Not near, not far, just here. A point on the curve, a note in the song. There is no cosmic map, no arrow saying you are here, because everywhere is here. You don't have to reach for the center, you are part of it, and so is every star, and every planet, and every quiet listener drifting off right now beneath their own sky. That's the beauty of it. You're not outside the story. You are the story. You are the curve. You are the bloom. Next, we'll sense how even this room, this moment is quietly growing. How the expansion isn't just out there, but here, but for now. Rest in the centerless vastness. Let go of the search for edges. Let the bloom happen around you. Let the universe be what it has always been, a becoming without boundary. You are floating, nowhere, everywhere, and the space between stars is expanding just like the space between seconds. Soft, endless, still. You lie so still now, your body almost forgotten. The sheets no longer weigh, the pillow no longer holds you are a shape of softness resting in the quiet air. And in this stillness, a strange idea arrives. What if this isn't stillness at all? What if, even here beneath your resting head, beneath the floor, beneath the walls of your room, space is stretching quietly, imperceptibly, but undeniably. You can't feel it. No tremble, no pull, no shift of air or shadow, but space is expanding here too, not just out there between galaxies, but right here where you sleep. It doesn't change your bed. The atoms are held tightly by stronger forces, electromagnetic, gravitational, the quiet glues of matter. But the space between those stable places, the neutral places, the emptiness between galaxies, between clusters of stars, that space is blooming. And so, slowly, so is this space too. It's called the illusion of stillness, the sense that where we are is unchanged, even while the universe unfolds beneath us. You are not alone in this. Galaxies believe they are still. Stars feel unmoved, but the space between them grows longer with every second. Imagine a tapestry, woven tightly in some places, loose in others. The tight knots, galaxies, solar systems, atoms they hold firm. But between the threads the fabric stretches, gently, endlessly. You are lying on that fabric now, and you are part of the pattern. Even your thoughts, slow and fading, rest in the stretch, each moment ever so slightly longer than the last, each second cradled in a universe just a little wider than before. It's not something to fear. The expansion is not tearing things apart. It's simply allowing more room. Room for stars to wander, room for galaxies to drift, room for time to unfurl, room for dreams to travel further than waking ever could. Scientists measure this with quiet precision. They use telescopes, spectra, microwaves, gravity itself, and they find the same result. Again and again, space is stretching, even here, even now. But the forces that bind you, the atoms in your bones, the heartbeat in your chest, the gravity that anchors you to this earth, they resist. They don't stretch, they stay close. So you feel still, but you are moving, always, not through space, but with space. You're not on a journey. You are the journey. And even in perfect rest, you're being carried by something older than breath. So tonight, let the illusion of stillness comfort you. You don't need to feel the motion to know you're part of it. You don't need to sense the expansion to be shaped by it. It's like dreaming. You don't feel the world spinning as you sleep, but it spins. You don't hear your cells grow, but they grow. You don't see the darkness move, but it does. And in this great, soft, stretching night, you are part of that quiet rhythm. Next, We'll imagine the universe as a balloon that never ends, a shape that helps us feel the infinite without needing an edge. But for now, let stillness stretch. Let sleep stretch. Let the very moment you're in become just a little wider than the one before it. No effort, no sound, just space, growing gently beneath your rest. You're floating again, but this time you're not in empty space. You're in an idea, an image that scientists sometimes offer when words grow too tired and numbers too sharp. They say imagine a balloon, not one filled with air, but one whose surface is the universe itself. You lie on that surface now, not as a dot, not as a passenger, but as part of the skin, the curved space that holds no edge. Everywhere you look, you see the surface stretch, dots, galaxies moving away from each other. Not because they are crawling across the balloon, but because the balloon is growing beneath them. And here's the curious part. The balloon surface has no center, not from within the surface itself. There is no special place, no starting point. Each dot sees every other dot receding, drifting, expanding, and each dot believes it is in the middle. That's where you are now, on a balloon that never ends, a surface that curves without enclosing anything. There is no inside of this universe, no outside either, just more curve, more stretch, more room. It's a hard idea to hold. Your mind might try to flatten it, to picture the balloon floating in space. But that's not quite it. The balloon is all there is. The surface is reality. There is no air outside the universe, no stage it expands upon. It creates its own space as it grows. And you, gentle listener, are part of that skin, that delicate, dimensional film that wraps through itself without ever needing walls. Some wonder, could the universe be finite like the balloon surface, boundless, yet not infinite? Or is it endless, stretching on forever, without fold or curve? The truth is, we don't know. Our tools are clever, but the questions are older than tools, and space doesn't always answer. It just stretches, softly, like breath. You press your hand against the imagined surface. It gives a little, not rubber, not resistance, just motion. It grows under your touch, under your stillness, under your thoughts. The balloon expands, not into anything, just more of itself. And that's what the universe is doing. It's not pushing into space, creating space as it grows. There's no edge you'll find, no wall to reach, because in every direction there's only more surface, and no matter where you are, you're in the center, because every point is. Isn't that comforting, that you're not away from anything? You're not far, you're not late, you're simply on the surface, just like every star, every galaxy, every echo of light. Some people ask what lies beyond the balloon, but that's like asking what color lives outside of sight. The universe isn't in something, it is something. You don't need to stretch your imagination past its edges tonight. You only need to feel the gentle roundness beneath your rest, a curve that holds you without needing corners, a space that folds back on itself in ways that sleep understands, even if your waking mind does not. Next, we'll explore the galaxies that slip so far across this stretch that their light will never reach us again. But for now, rest on the surface. Feel the softness beneath your breath, the quiet curve beneath your body, the motion that doesn't move but becomes. You're floating on a balloon that never ends, and still it's growing. You're still on the surface of that endless balloon, still drifting, still quiet, But now, something has changed. You feel the space between things stretching more quickly, like taffy pulled by invisible hands, like silence growing longer between sounds. And as you float, you begin to pass galaxies, soft spirals, and elliptical lights that shimmer, then fade. Not because they vanish, but because their light can no longer find you. This is where expansion becomes more than movement. It becomes separation, a soft parting that no force can mend, a drift so wide that even the speed of light cannot keep up. You pass one such galaxy now, beautiful, blue, bright. Its stars burn like cities at night. Its arms hold secrets older than Earth, but it's moving away from you so quickly that its light, no matter how fast, will never arrive again. This is called the cosmic event horizon, not a wall, not a fence, just a limit, a gentle boundary between what can ever reach us and what already floats beyond forever. Even light, the fastest thing we know, has its limits in an expanding universe. Because here, space doesn't just stretch, it stretches faster than light can travel. Some galaxies are already beyond our reach. Their final glimmers are arriving now, and once they pass, we will never see them again. Not because they die, but because we can no longer catch their light. It's like waving to someone as they drift down a river whose current is faster than your boat could ever go. You wave, and eventually you can't see them anymore. But they're still waving, far beyond the bend. This might sound sad, but it's not, because the sky is still full, the stars still shine, and the light already here, it still tells stories, it still warms us. And there's something beautiful in knowing that the universe is too big to hold, that it's filled with more than we could ever catch. These galaxies, the ones you now float beyond, aren't gone. They're simply unreachable. They've slipped beyond the limit set not by walls, but by speed, by the expansion of space itself. And here's a mystery. What happens to them? Do they live out quiet, isolated ages? Do they birth new stars in silence? Do they become little islands of gravity in a sea too wide to cross? We don't know, and we might never know, but we still imagine. We still listen for the last photons sent from their distant hearts. The cosmic event horizon is not the end of the universe. It's just the limit of what we'll ever be able to see. And even that boundary is moving. Further out, faster, wider. Every second, more galaxies slip beyond it. Not because they flee, but because the fabric between us stretches too quickly. You are not being abandoned. The universe is not pulling away. It is growing, and with growth comes distance. But even the galaxies you cannot see still exist, still spin, still glow, just like memories you can't quite recall, but still shape who you are. The night sky may darken, but it does not empty. The stars nearby will remain, and their light, like the past, will keep us warm for a very long time. Next, we'll step into the future, a time when the distant sky may seem quiet, but is still expanding. But for now, rest in this moment. Let the galaxies drift. Let the unreachable be what it is, not lost, but distant. You don't need to follow. You only need to float. The light has done its best, and that is enough. You're floating farther now, but not in distance, in time. Time, like space, can stretch. And tonight, you drift into the quiet of a future you will never live in, but can still visit with wonder. A time where the sky will darken, not from cloud or shadow, but from absence. You rest in this future like it's already here. The air is still soft. The stars, quieter, but they feel farther, because they are not in space, but in light. In the universe to come, there will be fewer galaxies to see, not because they stop shining, but because their light will never arrive. Imagine looking up and seeing only a few dozen galaxies, where once you saw hundreds of billions. Imagine stargazers of the future wondering if the Milky Way is all that ever was, not because the others didn't exist, but because they are now beyond the horizon of time. That's the strange reality of cosmic acceleration. It's not just that space expands, it's that it expands faster than time can catch up, faster than light can close the gap, faster than memory can reach. Some galaxies are already gone from view, some are slipping away as you sleep, and some those just on the edge will disappear in the distant tomorrow, like stars winking out, not from dying, but from distance. And this future, it's not theoretical, it's inevitable, because the universe is not just stretching, it's accelerating. That gentle push we met before dark energy grows stronger as space grows larger, and as it stretches more galaxies slip away. There may come a time when the only things we can observe are the galaxies that remain gravitationally bound to us, our cosmic neighbourhood, drifting through the dark, a single archipelago in an ocean grown too wide to sail. Will those future watchers know? Will they remember us? Will they guess that the sky was once filled with distant spirals, giant clusters, great rivers of light? Or will they believe that their galaxy is all there ever was? And here's the wonder: we are lucky. You, right now, lying beneath this wide sky, are living in a cosmic golden hour, a time when the light still reaches us, when we can still see the shimmer of 100 billion galaxies, when we can still know how large it all is. You are the observer on the cusp. You are the listener while the song is still playing. And that means something, not just for science, but for dreaming, because you can carry the memory of a full sky into every moment of stillness, even long after the galaxies fade. The universe won't stop expanding now, and the future will grow quieter, but silence is not the end. It's just a new kind of presence, a presence that asks nothing except that we continue wondering. And so you wonder what else will drift out of reach. You wonder what will remain. You wonder if time itself will grow so long that memory becomes myth. And yet you are not afraid, because wonder is never lost, only changed. Next, we'll explore how this expansion continues not just in a direction, but in every place, all at once. But for now, rest in this golden hour. Let the stars still visible be your blanket. Let the ones slipping away be your lullaby. They were here. They shone. They shared their light, and you are the one who received it. You're deeper into stillness now, no longer floating like a leaf, but drifting more like a thought, slow, diffuse, untethered. Your breath is calm, your body forgotten, and here, in the wide hush between galaxies and dreams, a quiet truth begins to rise, not loudly, not suddenly, just steadily, like warmth returning to the edge of sleep. The universe doesn't expand from somewhere. It expands everywhere, at once, forever. You've felt this before, without knowing, in the way time slips equally forward, no matter where you are, in the way a moment happens for everyone, yet belongs only to you. The expansion of space is like that, equal, everywhere, unceasing. You lie still, and space grows in all directions around you, not just toward one pole of the sky, not just beyond a distant edge, but from your pillow, from the wall, from the space between your thoughts. This is the great symmetry of cosmology. The universe, as far as we can tell, has no special places, no privileged spots, no cosmic front rows. It is homogeneous, the same in all locations, and isotropic, the same in all directions. It means where you are, and where the farthest star is, are both places of expansion, equally important, equally in motion, equally becoming. You are not watching the expansion from a distance. You are within it, part of it. You are not at rest in a moving world. You are a stillness that stretches too. Imagine a grid of dots, endless, perfect, balanced. Now imagine the lines between them growing longer every second. Each dot stays still, but each becomes farther from the rest. You are one of those dots. So is everything else. There is no more expanded place, no direction the universe favours. Every direction is a direction of growth. Every moment is a moment of stretch. And the laws of physics agree. The equations that govern this expansion do not point. They radiate outward, inward, upward, downward. None of these mean anything here. Because in the universe's stretch, everywhere is centre and nowhere is outside. It's humbling to know that nothing is at the edge, that no place is closer to the truth than any other, and it's freeing too, because it means you're not far behind. You're not outside the rhythm. You're exactly where you need to be, a node in a growing net of wonder. The stars don't watch this happen. They ride it, they accept it, and you can too, not with comprehension, but with stillness, letting the equal expansion lift you gently like a tide that never recedes. Some scientists ask, how long will this continue? Will the expansion last forever? Will there come a time when even atoms feel the stretch, when even thought itself grows thin, or will it stop? Slow reverse. No one knows. But what we do know, what we see in every direction is this. The universe is expanding in every place, always. And tonight, as you rest between stars and seconds, you join that expansion. Your breath follows its rhythm. Your dreams drift along its arc. Next, we'll wonder aloud what lies at the edge if the universe has no centre. Can it have a boundary? We'll drift toward that mystery, but for now, float in every direction. Let your body bloom with space. You're not going anywhere. You're becoming everywhere. You're lying in a stillness so vast now it no longer feels like stillness at all. It feels like openness. And in this openness, another quiet question floats in. If the universe is expanding, where does it end? It's a natural thought. We're used to edges, to fences and doors, to coastlines and ceilings. Everything we know has a boundary, a line we cannot cross, a point that says beyond this, nothing. But space is not like that. You float forward gently, curiously, as if the universe might offer you a horizon, a final edge, but it never does, because the universe, in all its beauty, does not end. There are no walls, no rims, no glowing boundaries where reality fades. There is only more space, more curve, more dark between stars. It's not because the universe is infinite, it might not be. It's because the universe has no edge in the way we imagine. Imagine standing on the surface of the earth. You walk forward and forward and forward. You never fall off. You never reach a ledge. You circle, not because the earth is endless, but because it is unbounded. The universe might be like that. Not infinite, but edgeless. Even if it has a finite volume, there's no outer wall, no final step into nothing, just more of what already is. And even more curiously, there may not even be a concept of outside. There is no space beyond the universe. The universe is not sitting in a larger room. It is the room. All of space, all of time, is part of the same growing fabric. You might ask, then what is it expanding into? The answer, gentle and strange, is nothing. It's not expanding into anything. It's expanding as everything. Just like when you dream, your dream doesn't grow into the air. It simply becomes more of itself. In your mind, the universe dreams space as it stretches, and there is no canvas beneath the painting. The painting is the canvas. Some thinkers wonder, what would happen if you kept going forever? Would you come back to where you started? Would you loop around like a traveller on a curved earth, or would you simply continue and never return? We don't know, not yet, but the questions themselves are beautiful. And the beauty is not in knowing, but in feeling the absence of edges. It changes you. You stop looking for fences. You stop trying to find where the sky stops. You simply float, not to arrive, but to become part of the unfolding. You're not climbing a staircase. You're drifting in a song that plays in every direction. So rest now, in the knowledge that there is no edge, no final place, no end of space, no last galaxy hanging at the border. Every direction you stretch into offers more room, more silence, more softness. And the only edge is the one you stop imagining. Next, we'll ask if there is no outside. What is space expanding into? Can nothing hold something? Can something be born without a container? But for now, let go of borders. Let go of maps. You're not finding a place. You're flowing in a presence. You're not approaching the edge. You're living in its absence. By now, even questions have grown soft. They no longer arrive as puzzles, but as invitations, drifting gently in, like leaves onto water. And tonight's question comes wrapped in a whisper. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? You're not the first to ask. Humans have wondered this for generations, because when something grows, it must have space to grow into. Right, a box expanding needs a room, a flame needs air, a wave needs a sea. So what holds the universe? Here's the quiet truth: nothing does, and also, everything does. Let's pause here. Let's step softly into this strange idea. When cosmologists say the universe is not expanding into anything, they don't mean it's expanding into an empty black space. They mean there is no beyond. There is no outside to space. There is no container. No void waiting to be filled. The universe isn't being poured into emptiness. It is creating the space as it grows. Imagine a bubble, but not the kind that floats in the air. This bubble is the air, and its surface, its very curve, is what we call space. It expands, but not into anything. It simply becomes more. So what is nothing? Then we often picture it as a kind of silent darkness, a vacuum, an empty box with no stars. But that's still something, a place, a shape, a container. Real nothing, if it exists at all, has no properties, no dimensions, no distance, no time. You cannot travel into it. You cannot measure it. You cannot stand inside it and look back. So when the universe expands, it doesn't push into a waiting space. It creates space with every moment, with every breath of time. with every widening between galaxies. Some theories suggest space is born from quantum fields strange, fluctuating energies that do not exist in space, but give rise to it, like foam at the edge of a wave that isn't there yet. Others imagine space and time emerging together from even deeper laws, not dimensions, but relationships, patterns, information, codes of becoming. And you're floating in that code right now. You're a ripple in the self-creating sea of space-time. You're not surrounded by emptiness. You're held by becoming. So when we ask, what is the universe expanding into? Maybe the gentlest answer is, it is not going anywhere. It is simply growing, like a thought that needs no page, like a dream that needs no room, like music that fills the air only because it sings itself into being. And what's more mysterious, this expansion might never stop. There may be no final shape, no edge to reach, no place to rest, only unfolding, only more. It's not a race, it's not an escape, it's a blossoming, and you, dear listener, are one petal in that bloom, quiet, open, glowing. Some scientists wonder, could space ever curve in on itself? Could it someday stop growing? Could nothing become something else again? Perhaps. But right now, the silence says no. Right now, the stretch continues. The blossom widens. And here you are, not watching it happen, but being it happen. Next, we'll listen closely, not with ears, but with wonder to the sound of this unfolding. We'll ask if expansion has a rhythm, a tone, a cosmic hum, but for now, let your breath soften, let the edges blur. There is no outside, only here, only more, only you, floating gently in a universe that expands into itself. You're no longer drifting, you're resting, so deep in stillness that even drifting feels too active. You're suspended in something quieter than silence, something wider than thought. And through this quiet, not as a sound, but as a sense, you begin to feel something underneath it all. A hum, a low, endless murmur, not a voice, not a vibration, but a presence. A sound so slow and so vast that it isn't heard with ears but with existence itself. It's the sound of the universe expanding, not like a ripple, not like thunder, but like breath held across light years. A tone that began at the beginning of everything and continues without pause. You wonder if this sound ever changes. Does the expansion of space have a rhythm? Does it accelerate like a crescendo, or hum along at a steady, eternal pace? Scientists listen for this too, not through microphones, but through starlight, through maps of galaxies, through microwave echoes, and what they find is strange and beautiful. The expansion is not just continuing, it's accelerating. The hum grows softer in pitch, but faster in tempo. Space stretches more with each breath, like a heartbeat that slows, but pumps more with each pulse. It wasn't always this way. Long ago, the universe grew quickly in a rush of youthful energy, but then slowed. Gravity tried to pull things back, to hold them close. For billions of years, the stretch softened, but then it began to speed up again. Quietly, relentlessly. We don't know why. Dark energy is our best guess, a kind of pressure without a source, a force that fills the fabric of everything without ever being seen. And if it continues, if the stretch never stops, then galaxies will drift so far we'll never see them again. Then stars will fade into silence, then black holes will evaporate, and the universe will become dark, quiet, cold. Some call this the heat death, a future not of fire but of stillness. A stillness so vast that even time loses its meaning. No motion, no change, no rhythm. But there are other whispers too. Some believe the stretch could reverse, that the universe might slow and begin to fold, that gravity might gather the stars again, pulling space back into itself in a final inhalation, a big crunch. And others dream of cycles, expansion, collapse, rebirth, a universe that breathes, not just once, but forever. You're floating now in the middle of that uncertainty, not afraid, not rushed, just listening to the hum that tells you the universe is in motion. The story is still unfolding. And you're part of that story, not an observer, a note in the tone, a ripple in the rhythm, a sleeper in a song without end. You don't need to know how it ends. The stretch isn't about destination, it's about becoming. A slow motion that invites you to feel without needing to finish. Next, we'll drift into time itself, into the way space and time fold into each other, twist, stretch, and shape what we feel as now. But for now, let this hum surround you. Not to explain, not to define, just to be there. Soft, eternal, still expanding, like breath held across the stars. Now you're floating not just in space but in time, not watching it pass but feeling it lengthen, widen, bend. Just as space stretches, so does time. And here, in this vast stillness, you begin to feel it not as a ticking clock, but as a shape, a slow, unfolding landscape that carries you forward without ever rushing. Time, like space, is not absolute. It is not a river that runs on its own. It is not the same for every traveller. It bends, it stretches, it waits. Einstein showed us this first, that time and space are not two things but one. Space-time, a fabric that curves with mass, ripples with energy, shifts with speed. And in this growing universe, where space itself is expanding, time does not stay still. It flows with space, changes shape, slows in gravity, speeds in emptiness. It is woven into the stretch. You're lying inside that fabric now, wrapped in it, drifting across it, becoming part of its motion. You feel how time flows differently here, not in hours, not in minutes, but in presence. Each breath slower, each thought further apart. You're not running out of time, you're moving with it. And as the universe expands, the way time behaves, changes, it becomes more spacious, more silent. Because when the cosmos was dense, hot, crowded, everything happened quickly. Stars were born, atoms collided, light danced in tight rhythms. But now, space is stretched, and with it, time has lengthened. The universe ages more slowly now, not in your eyes, but in its heart. The larger the universe grows, the longer it takes for things to happen, for light to travel, for gravity to gather, for stories to unfold. Time itself is becoming gentler. Some physicists ask, could time itself fade? Could there come a moment so far ahead that nothing new ever happens again? No change, no difference, no passage, just stillness. They call it the end of time, not as a bang, but as a quiet pause that never lifts. Others wonder if time is just an illusion, a trick of perception, a human sense shaped by memory and cause. What if time is not something we move through, but something we create? What if time is the way consciousness organizes the stretch? You feel that question now, not as fear, but as fascination, because here in this space, You are not trapped in time. You are held by it, cradled, rocked. You are the second as much as you are the moment. You are the pause as much as the motion. You are a note in a melody that has no hurry to resolve. And as space expands, time continues with it. New seconds bloom like galaxies. New moments unfold like starlight. And your very presence here, this rest you've entered, is part of that rhythm. You're not late. You are not early. You're exactly where time has brought you and exactly where it wants you to be. Next, we'll step into the final softness to the edge where science rests its voice, and all that remains is the hush of infinite stillness. But for now, let time stretch with you. Let each breath last longer. Let each blink become a moment. Let the pace of the universe become your own. There is no need to rush. You are riding time as time rides space, quietly, peacefully, endlessly. By now, everything feels slow. Even your thoughts have softened. They drift like clouds that no longer need to be named. Even the questions, those bright little lanterns we've carried together, have dimmed to embers. And still, you float, not forward, not away, just gently, present in a universe that will never finish becoming. You are lying at the edge of what can be said, not because there is no more to know, but because the knowing itself has become quiet, silent, even like the final chord in a long, slow symphony that keeps vibrating in the air long after the musicians have gone. The universe still expands, even here, even now, but the expansion no longer feels like motion. It feels like breath without lungs, growth without effort, a kind of becoming that has no direction, no destination, and no end. You might wonder, what comes next? What lies after expansion, after light, after memory? And the honest answer is we don't know. We may never know, but here, in this quiet, that unknowing feels safe. It feels soft, not like a gap, but like a pillow, a place to rest your wondering. Because you have seen the galaxies drift apart and felt the tension between stars, you've listened to the hum of dark energy, watched time unfold beside space, and understood, if only for a moment, that you are part of the very thing you once stood outside. You're not a guest in the universe. You are its echo, its silence, its thought. You're not watching the expansion. You're the expansion, still, warm, drifting. And now, dear sleepy listener, you can let go. Let the last question slip between your fingers. Let the edges blur. Let yourself float in a place where floating is all there is, where nothing more must happen, where time can rest, where space can yawn and stretch without you needing to follow. You have made it, not to an answer, but to a softness, a stillness that feels like peace, a knowing that doesn't require words. And in these final moments before your breath deepens into sleep, you might feel one last thing: gratitude for the sky, for the silence, for being part of a story so vast it has no beginning, no end, only this moment right here with you. So sleep now. Let the expansion continue without your attention. It doesn't need you to stay awake. It will stretch and hum and hold you in its ever-growing quiet. Sleep now, like the galaxies are whispering you a lullaby. Sleep now, because even the stars need rest. Sleep now, because you've travelled far without moving at all. The universe expands, and you are at peace with it.